Alright, so what we're doing now, kind of I guess a long intro here. The front of this 2000 Z71, 2000 GMC Sierra Z71, it looks like it's taking a nosedive. It sits so low in the front, so high in the rear, and it's all stock, no lift. It even still has original shocks after 236,000 miles. And the two front shocks are leaking. You can see that shock right there, the red. See where it's wet. The other side's even worse. So the shocks are shot, and the bump stops, you can see, are shot. So this thing appears to be sagging in the front end. Torsion bars are probably worn, but I'm not replacing them or anything. What I'm going to do is tighten them a little bit. I'm going to start off with 2 turns. I've kind of compared the pictures. Well, let me start off first. Put equal air pressure in all 4 tires, and they've got even wear on them. They're all matching, so all same size, all same brand. So all the tires are the same. And I did some measurements on flat ground. Here's what I got. Okay, so I've got front driver's side is 34 1/4, front passenger side is 34. So that's measuring from the center of the wheel on the ground, of course not on stands with tires on it, to, you know, here. Same spot on all 4 corners. And then 34 on the passenger side. Rear driver side 37 3/4, rear passenger side 37 1/2. So the driver side is actually a 1/4 inch higher, which is fine because it's the same front and rear. So I'm not going to try to mess with that. Maybe they do that. I don't know. Anyway. So it's 3 1/2 inches lower in the front than the rear, which seems crazy. I mean, that's, get the tape measure. That seems like a crazy amount. So the front end is that much lower. I mean, that's a lot. So I put the jack under it and jacked it up an inch, to where it was 35 1/4 on the driver's side, 35 on the passenger side, and that looked about right for stock. I couldn't find any measurements online, but what I did find was a lot of stock pictures, and comparing what it looked like stock, it looks like this thing's probably sagging about an inch in the front. So that's what I'm going to try to do, is raise it up about an inch, which should get it up to about the stock height. Maybe I'll go 1.5 inches, but no more than that. And I probably should get the front end aligned afterwards. But what I'm also going to do is replace the shocks, since they're shot, and the bump stops. Now what I did on the shocks, I actually ran across a guy who was parting out a Z71, and it had replacement shocks on it. Now he had already sold the rear axle and let the shocks go with it, so he didn't have the replacement rear shocks, but he had the front still, and they got a little specks of rust and stuff, but I checked them and they're still good. They're not leaking. They still got good pressure, I guess, you know, and you push them down, they come back, and they're even, and so they're still good shocks. So I picked those up cheap. Then I also picked up these. These are replacement front bump stops, and they came off of, I think, a 2004. Got them on eBay. They were almost new takeoffs from a truck who got a lift. So so they pulled the bump stops off. I guess replaced them with bigger bump stops or whatever. And so these were practically new. I checked the part number on them, and they were the part number on these is not the same part number that originally came with these, but if you look up replacement bump stops for these, that part number has been discontinued, and the new part number for them is this part number that's on here, which is 151616762. So I don't know if there's any difference in them, if they change the design a little bit, but this is the one. If you went to a Chevy dealership, that's what they would give you, this one. So not sure what the difference is. There may not be a difference. They may have just changed the part number. So those are going to go on here, and the shocks are going to go on here, and then I'm going to try cranking the torsion bars about 2 turns and see how much that picks it up in the front. And then also I've got, where are they? Well, I'll have to find them and get back to you. Okay, so also show you my rear bump stops are missing. They're gone. They're made out of like a foam stuff, and they deteriorate. They probably just fell off. So I picked up 2 new because I couldn't find them on eBay or anything. Had to go to, well, I could, but I got them cheaper from the dealership. So these are new bump stops for the rear, and I got them for, let's see, make sure there's no okay, so it's 157124438. It's part number. Bump stops, I got them for the wholesale price of $15.83 each, which was cheaper than what I could get them for with eBay after paying shipping and everything, even tax and everything. I would have paid about $36 getting them from eBay. So, and I didn't have to wait for them. So, got 2 of those, and I'll put those on, and we'll put the front on. Probably never really need the rear, but you never know. If I was hauling some kind of heavy load, it might would. If I hit a dip, it might would bounce off the bump stops. So anyway, let's get started with the shocks. So I'm going to go ahead and undo this bolt right here, and then take this nut off. I'll get that from the top. So I'm going to take this nut off first, and then I'll do the bolt down there. And I should be able to get the shock out. So let's get started. So I got the top nut off, which was a 13/16. Got the top nut off, which was a 15 millimeter. Bushing. So now we just got to get the bottom, which is 21. 13/16 also fits it. So slip. Yeah, there we go. 13/16 fits it nicely. Don't drop your impact wrench. See if I can do this one-handed. Hold this and still let y'all see. Oh, there we go. Done. seat much. Okay. All right, so there's the shock. It's rusty, not to be in the rust belt. I think this thing maybe saw a little bit of salt water or something, you know. There's some surface rust on it. Probably cheap paint on these shocks too. But these are the originals. So we'll go back with these used, but in good shape, KYBs. Take this nut off. Right. So go back in. Put these through the center hole right there. And let's put our bolt back through. This is extremely hard to do one-handed, so I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. And a tip, or a little tip, you will probably, because when you undo the shock, the suspension settles down even lower, so you will probably need to what am I trying to say? You will probably need to, you may need to put a jack under the A-arm to pick it back up, so you can start your top nut there and start your bottom bolt through first and then start your top nut. So I'm going to get that started, and I think what I'll go ahead and do, I went ahead and took the nut off the other side. Since I'm going to adjust the torsion bars, I think I'll go ahead and do that before I get these shocks on, because what's going to happen, you know, the A-arm's drooping even more now that the shocks are off or undone. So that releases even more tension on the torsion bars, which will make it even easier to tighten them down. So I think I'll go ahead and do that and then bolt the shocks up. So let's get busy doing that. Okay. So we're up under the truck. There's the torsion bars. I've sprayed them with some penetrating oil. So this is 18 millimeter, or at least it is on this truck. And the way this works is when the bolt gets longer, it pushes up on the torsion bar. I guess that's the key, and that puts more tension on it. So I need to tighten those bolts to make it longer on top. And as you can see about the spacing on that one. And then look at the spacing on that one. So the driver's side is adjusted more. I don't know if they do that because the gas tank's on the driver's side or what, but or if somebody's messed with them. But we'll just go 2 turns and on each side and see how that works out. Looks like I also need to do the rear seal's leaking on the transfer case a little bit, so I'll probably have to replace that. But let's get these cranked down. Got my breakover handle, and so I'm going to go 2 turns on each side.